In this podcast episode, Ben Shapiro raises a crucial question about the West's ability to win wars, emphasizing that the primary goal of engaging in war is victory. He argues that all sacrifices made during war become meaningless if victory is not achieved. He points out that the West, particularly the United States, has not won a significant war in a long time, with the last major victory being the Korean War, which occurred 3 generations ago. Shapiro identifies 3 key conditions necessary to win a war: a clear and achievable end goal, military capability to achieve that goal, and political willingness to take the necessary measures to attain victory. He argues that the West, especially America, lacks the political will to win wars. The public and political leadership are no longer supportive of victory in war, leading to a lack of public support for military conflicts. The podcast delves into the importance of understanding why a particular war is being fought. Shapiro highlights the need for a justification beyond vague slogans like democracy or our way of life. He explains that American interests in conflicts must be clearly defined and defended to maintain public support for a victorious war. The discussion also touches on the complexity of war, involving factors like supply chains, freedom of the seas, and resource allocation. Shapiro criticizes the media's portrayal of wars, noting how conflicts are initially justified but quickly labeled as quagmires once images of war atrocities are broadcast. This shift in media coverage erodes public support for ongoing military engagements, leading to premature withdrawals and leaving billions in equipment to enemies. The podcast also addresses the lack of personal connection most Americans have to the military, with only a small percentage serving or knowing someone in the military. This disconnect contributes to a lack of understanding of the true costs and realities of war. Shapiro praises the members of the U.S. military for their bravery and skill, but attributes the inability to win wars to politicians, media bias, and public apathy. Shapiro highlights the internal struggle within the Democratic Party between moderate liberals and far-left revolutionaries. He criticizes the party for failing to provide a strong defense of America's role abroad and its interests. He points out that the party's inability to dissociate from its radical base, which harbors anti-American sentiments, further undermines the country's ability to win wars. The podcast references Joe Biden's Memorial Day speech, where he focused on personal loss rather than the sacrifices of fallen soldiers. Shapiro argues that Memorial Day should be about honoring those who gave their lives for a higher cause, not about personal suffering. He criticizes Democratic Representatives Ilhan Omar and Cori Bush for their misunderstanding of Memorial Day, attributing it to their negative views of America as a corrupt and white supremacist system. Shapiro also delves into the issue of back taxes and unfiled returns, emphasizing the IRS's new enforcement project targeting individuals and businesses with outstanding tax debts. He mentions Tax Network USA as a reliable tax relief firm that can help individuals navigate their tax issues and reduce or eliminate their tax debt. The podcast then shifts focus to the Biden administration's stance on Iran's nuclear program, revealing that the U.S. is urging European allies to refrain from rebuking Iran despite its nuclear advancements. Shapiro criticizes the administration for its pro-Iran stance, which he believes stems from a belief that America is an imperialistic force in the world. The discussion moves on to the Libertarian Party, which Shapiro describes as a clown show filled with ineffective leadership. He criticizes the party for nominating Chase Oliver, a candidate with far-left views that contradict libertarian principles. He expresses disappointment in the missed opportunity for the Libertarian Party to capitalize on the current political climate and present a viable alternative to the 2 major parties. Shapiro also touches on the ongoing legal issues faced by former President Trump, particularly in relation to the charges against him and the potential outcomes of his trial. He highlights the Democratic Party's growing concerns over Biden's re-election prospects, citing poor polling numbers and internal anxiety among party leaders and operatives. The podcast concludes with a discussion on Trump's Memorial Day posts, contrasting a solemn tribute to fallen soldiers with a controversial post criticizing a judge and a defamation lawsuit. Shapiro comments on the contrasting tones of Trump's posts, and advises against the combative approach in future communications, suggesting that a more respectful and focused message would be more effective in winning over voters.